guys, welcome to Clockwork down to Noodles for another breakdown of Undead Girl Murder Farce, episode number 7. I've got to say, the show leveled up for me this week. Stylish points up to 11. Episode got my attention. There's a lot of really good stuff going on. I can't wait to break it down with you guys. So make sure you guys are subscribed. If you haven't already, go check out my midway review. In that review, I've crowned top 3 OPs, EDs, and current standing of animes halfway through the season. Of course, it's going to change. Put the feelers out, see how I feel halfway through, and see how much it changes. It's a lot more interesting. Obviously, at the end of the season, we're going to have my end of season review. That is going to be awards. There's going to be so many fun awards. I've got a few awards from the show already starting to creep onto the list, so I can't wait to share that with you. But hello and welcome if you are new to the channel. I break down anime every single week. We are huge fans of this show in particular. I will say I might have a tiny crush developing for Lupin, but shh, we'll be quiet about that one. Let's get straight to it, to the red herring sentence that got my attention, which is by our voice operative who said, "Hurry up and get here, Lupin." Initially, I was like, oh, that could be interpreted in a few ways. Whether it was supposed to still heighten the point that they were working with Lupin, which is one way you could take it. The other way was the correct way, is they're not working with Lupin, but they are trying to get the credit. From what I can deduce about this group is they are Foggs's special group, clearly hired them to get the diamond off both the detectives. He probably doesn't have to pay them. That is probably what I can imagine is the case. Lupin had definitely stolen the gem as promised at 11:30 on the dot, and my brain was just blown because I was so distracted by the water. I completely forgot that even I had said, I bet he's in the room already. I thought it was Fogg. I was completely wrong. I did still feel sus of Fogg because he was still the person who said, I've checked the diamond, it's probably okay. Sus in a good way, because when he said that he had checked the diamond and we didn't see where the diamond was, I didn't know that our friend Aya was hanging out in that safe. I wasn't expecting it. There was a lot of moments this episode where my enjoyment rocketed through the roof because I didn't call it. I didn't know what was going to happen. Pulling out the punches left, right and centre. They all make sense as well. They're all rug pulls that make sense within the realm of the show, and you can see how it happened or what led to have Aya in that safe. I'm going to give mega kudos to the design team for this Sherlock profile. It's just perfect. Everything about this design is perfect. It is Sherlock Holmes in anime form and I love it. I love the portrayal as well. Maybe this week I'm really coming to appreciate what we've actually got with the show. So happy that a lot of people also are appreciating the show because it's still rocking a nice 7.8, which I can live with. I can get behind that. He works out it's the guy who's supposed to be the guy he worked with in France. I was suspicious of him because he joined last minute. The eyes had been changed as well, so he definitely had the context in this time round. Phantom and Lupin, they teamed up and Phantom managed to pull it out whilst we were all distracted by the raging torrent of water. Lupin walking out, you think I'm miles away, so you don't think I'm actually in the room with you. That was probably his plan. I love the fact that Sherlock seems to have trust issues now. After the first disguise being rubber and things falling off, he tugs at the moustache last episode, which we all saw, which made me go, okay, so it's probably not this guy. The moustache doesn't come off. You can see Sherlock having trust issues, which I really like. Immediately tugs at somebody else who he thinks is a bit sus. He's suspicious of the guy being there in the first place. The Phantom ends up having the diamond and running away with it as part of the plan. He's meant to be getting out of there whilst we have Lupin being flamboyant. Sherlock technically counted this as his win. Immediately I wrote afterwards, why? Why would you count this as a win? The diamond's not in your grasp. The line coming to mind was, please don't count your eggs before they hatch, Sherlock, because stuff like what's about to happen is about to happen. But you can see Lupin has essentially tricked Sherlock into revealing the sleight of hand. You don't have the diamond in that safe. I've got it. It's where he put the diamond is what really made my heart just kind of bubble up and be happy. It was happy Becca. He put the diamond in the most safest place where he trusted it. On Watson. He planted it on Watson, which I absolutely love. He trusts Watson. I said last week there's too many people involved. Sherlock probably doesn't trust half the people. So he trusts Watson. He puts it in the jacket without even telling Watson, by the way, the diamond's on you. So you don't even know it's there. Sadly, it was exactly what Lupin wanted. So that's why I don't really count it as a Sherlock win. Immediately that diamond gets stolen. Flamboyant trick and he vanishes out of there because he knew Sherlock was gonna reveal his hand to him. He thought he had him. He thought he had him nailed. He thought he had him in those handcuffs. He felt safe to go, oh, actually, by the way, the diamond's actually here. But it's also nice to see that Sherlock plays by the rules. He promised the diamond would be in the room. He promised that it wouldn't be moved or anything. So it's nice to see Sherlock also playing by the rules. Another reason why I really like this portrayal of Sherlock as well. The next moment when he vanishes out the window, that's when I went, wait a minute, don't we also have a group that we're supposed to be following? I had completely forgotten Team Cage existed. I was so hooked on what was going on with Sherlock. A brief moment thought I was actually watching a Sherlock Holmes thing, and I was like, oh, I am so hooked. There's Watson, there's those guys. I forgot that Team Cage even existed, so absolutely hats off to them for making me completely forget it. Chef's kiss. Lupin did use the stolen uniform as I suspected he would. The story that I was really hoping they would explain. So we had the hint. I had absolutely no idea anything about the hint. Nobody in the comments really commented on the story in particular, so I presumed nobody really knew who this character was and why it was being used as a hint. All I could think of when we heard about the being boiled in the cauldron thing, One Piece. Odin and his death. I don't know if that was the inspiration for One Piece and Odin, but it really felt like it was. Thank you, Undead Girl, for actually giving One Piece's storyline and that character a bit more punch, because I know it's based off of a proper story. And you guys also know me. I absolutely love folklore. Being told this story that I didn't even know about, fascinating to me. The twist as well, jaw on the floor, because I didn't realise that Aya was in the safe, smacking Lupin in the face, and the poor guy's holding his face going, oh, my beautiful face. He seems like that kind of gentleman, I love my appearance kind of thing. And when they smacked him in the face of the safe, giggling, loved it. Seeing Suguru was still holding onto the parrot decoy, the cage, that was for the audience. There's no way that anybody else would have spotted them, because I don't think Moriarty knows they're there. As you saw, Lupin completely didn't know they were there either. He was completely shocked he didn't know who they were. Suguru was holding that decoy parrot. Hopefully he's going to give the parrot back to its owner at some point. He was holding that the whole time for us, the audience, to get completely confused, which hats off to the anime. I didn't consider she wasn't in the cage. To me, they were talking to each other last episode on the roof. But now I think about it, I don't think that's the case. I don't actually think they were conversing together. You got me with that trick. Unlike Sherlock, it actually feels like they played Lupin. I kept knocking points off Sherlock, but with these guys, he didn't suspect a thing, and the whole thing was plotted from the start. Last week, I even said, I really don't think he gave it a fair fight. I don't think Suguru was actually fighting properly. He failed on purpose at the behest of the head in question. She knew, and we've already seen this episode after episode, they take pleasure in seeing people's reactions to the head is actually a head. We also saw her do that very clever thing where the lace came over, because I made a comment about how I liked the fact that she hid. The lace fell over the actual birdcage. He thought the reporter girl was actually Aya. That's it. You don't know who you're playing against. If you're up against an invisible enemy that you don't know what they look like, you're gonna make so many mistakes. And I love the sheer horror on his face when he's like, oh, I messed up. And you know that he's messed up, and he knows he's messed up. 7th, they now appear. I don't like these guys. I like the villains more, and these guys are supposed to be technically good guys, but I just don't like the way they're acting. Trying to attack Team Cage, which is probably why I really don't like the guys. The other one takes out my favourite character of all times. Sherlock called last week. You're just waiting for a good moment to take the gem. You're going to wait for us to do the hard work, and then you're going to steal the gem right at the end. Sherlock at least had that claim down to a T. He knew what they were going to do. He knew that they were going to move in. Once Lupin had done the hard work, stolen the gem, they were going to grab it from him, and then they were going to claim all of the fame. He tries to attack my boy. Don't like that. Don't like the fact that you don't like monsters, as you call them. They're not monsters to me. Who's more the monster? The guy who's literally going at them with a blade when they've been hired? Or girl in a cage being paid to do her job? We hear the bridge getting destroyed. This is it, guys. Hold on to your horses. Buckle up, guys. Team Moriarty is about to make its debut. Moriarty did state he would do it, and it's exactly at the witching hour, 12 o'clock, when he makes his move. It was so funny to see Lupin crying wolf. Something that I completely forgot to mention, the Aya head being actually in the safe. That is Chekhov's gun. Now, I've only mentioned it once on the channel. That was with 86. It's that pun eventually paying off. Is Chekhov's gun. You keep showing me this trick. They trick people into thinking that she's actually a head, or it's Shizuka. Every time they trick somebody into thinking Shizuka is actually Aya. The fact that I've only really mentioned it on another anime on the show, and I've been doing a show now for... Are we coming up to 2 years as a Noodle Bowl? I think we are. The anime is really putting its weight when it comes to trying to make sure everything on screen gets used, every little detail is actually lining up, and I appreciate that. Nobody believes Lupin when he cries wolf because, of course, you've done it once. Nobody's going to believe you again. Nobody believes that there's somebody else approaching. But, of course, this was the moment for the true villain to step in and finally shine. And we finally get a lowdown on who he is working with. Our magician is Aleister Crowley, of course. It had to be, of course. It's the UK. We needed to have our own villain in there somewhere. It's Aleister Crowley. Backstory is reduced for the show, as with like Phantom and everything. It's a very complicated story in general, but definitely worth checking out if you're into true crime and stuff. Check out his backstory because it gets wild. Prolific figure during the 80s, so way before I was born, but even I know who he is. Once again, giving them kudos. I love the sideburns. I love his design. Everything about that design is amazing, so hats off to you. Camilla the vampire, I called out already. I already know who she was. Victor is the monster, but I thought Frankenstein's monster was just called the monster, but they've given him a name. Jack the Ripper, who has my attention fully because I think he's an Oni. I think he's the same as Suguru because he's got the same lines. They're just in red, which of course also makes him period relevant because he's Jack the Ripper at this period of time. I've got my eye on you because you seem very important. So we're going to have to keep an eye on him in particular. I think he's probably going to show us some true colours next week. It's really starting to ramp up. Killers. That is the difference between our gentleman Lupin, who was just playing not to harm anybody, but Team Moriarty are killers, and we have the death toll starting to go up quite quickly. That's also when we get the confirmation that Moriarty is not working with Team Royce. I don't think Team Royce looked like they were the type to get their hands dirty in a murder type sense. It just felt like they were just there to claim the glory. Now let's talk about the chemistry between Camilla and Aleister, because without a good villain, your heroes don't really have anything to stand up against, and I don't think you can have good heroes without having a decent villain. I love the chemistry. Hands down, love the way they interacted with one another. I think they're both stylish. I think they're both amazingly flashy. I like how animated they are. Really like how flashy he is with his sleight of hands. I love her design. I love her attitude. Hands off to the people who are doing the art because I'm hooked. I'm hooked on the look. I'm hooked on how these guys work. The villains are going to be amazing. I can't wait to see their downfall, how we're going to do it. I like having a decent villain to go up against. If the villains are boring, I'm not into it. So the fact that these guys are actually interesting. The next moment is when I had an aha moment with Lupin and why I started to fall in love with Lupin, the voice actor. If you guys are watching Clockwork Rewind, the very first show I did on Clockwork Rewind was Steins Gate. My boy, the mad scientist. I am mad scientist. It's Lupin's voice actor. Mamoru, I think his name is. He's also in Demon Slayer as the newest demon, who I think I'm going to hate by next season. It was the nasally what bit. And then the laugh. The laugh is so prolific with him. I knew exactly who it was. I went to quickly had a look and I was like, yeah, of course it's you. I knew it was you. Just didn't pick up on it last week. This guy is insane. The voice actor is amazing. I actually kind of hope he starts to team up with our team because he has to work against Moriarty. Hope that he ends up becoming a good guy or an anti-hero and works with the team because I like him. I want to hear the voice actor more. I'm also very sad and heartbroken because you basically got rid of my favourite character. Fine. But can you at least make sure that we are working with Lupin for a little bit? Because I think he's great. He also picks up on Suguru's cue to get him to run away. I like that. He takes one for the team because he gets smacked in the leg by a vase. He's absolutely terrified when that sword is in front of his face. He's like, oh, okay, stuff's getting real. He's the kind of character who's got all bark as soon as stuff gets real, though. You know, he starts to panic. And I like him because it's a flaw in a character. I've grown on him, so I really hope he is here to stay. Let's talk about my heartbreak moment when Phantom is downed. Very upset. Didn't like her in the first place. Her hair sucks. Hired by Royce. I don't know who Royce is, but I presume it's somebody working for Fog. Very sad that Phantom has been downed, and it seems that he got completely reduced to a side character. The reason why I'm sad by this, because Phantom has a lot of really cool tricks that I would have loved to have seen used, and we don't really get to see anything used because he's down very quickly. That could just be him playing, and we're going to see him really kick into action next week. With the Phantom of the Opera, you don't actually see it in the musical or anything, but in the books, Eric had a maze of mirrors, and I really want to see them use the mirror tricks. Mirrors in general, the fact even in the stage show, mirrors are used, and that's Phantom's thing. Not seen the mirror used whatsoever with Phantom is kind of a bit of a waste of a character. Really do hope that they do go back with him and actually use the mirror at least once. Just get it out of my system. Let me see you use the mirror because that is Phantom's thing. Crowley's backstory being complicated as hell to go through, and I'd need a whole video to go through Crowley. I'm not going to do it. It's a watered down version, but I do believe you get what you need. You understand this guy is tied to the cult who has killed people. At least know roughly what you're dealing with. I'd like Camilla's backstory at some point, so hopefully they give us that. Stylish points started to go off the scale. Shizuka versus Camilla, and their intro section was stylish. I adore this bit where she's flipping around and she's walking very lightly on the beams. I love that. I love the moment that we're also interjected with the diamond going up, because I'm like, oh, okay, the diamond's there. And you can see the music starting to ramp up. You're like, okay, we're getting towards the end, but the music is really hyping. Really nice moment. Really got me excited. I was really sad when those credits started to roll. I was like, no, I'm actually into it. Why are you stopping right here? Really, really like it. Thought that was really handled nicely. They're both animated. Can't wait to see the guys go up against one another. I am backing Team Shizuka because she's amazing. I do want to cosplay her at some point with the head in the cage. That is going to be on my list at some point. The end bit as well, where you've got the three of them fighting for the diamond in the air. And of course, Suguru having to eat it and spit it out. That was great. I really like it. I don't know who's going to win because it feels like Moriarty's geared to win, and he's probably going to get the diamond somehow, which I hope he doesn't. I'm Team Cage, but I also don't mind if Lupin gets away with the diamond now. He's fine. He can have it. I don't care. Who is going to win? How's it going to end? I'm now thinking that there could be another season. The likelihood is this is going to be unresolved. Moriarty's going to get away, which makes me think there's more information out there that we could perhaps have in another season. Absolutely love this anime. I'm so happy I picked it up. I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying it. I'm really happy with the way that they are breaking it down, making it look good, presenting it. Little hidden details that I'm not picking up on that I'd have to go back and rewatch the show for. Very happy. Can't wait to see where we go next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and have a great day, guys. Bye bye.